Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to this session of the Oxford Farming Conference, and it's an honour to be considered inspiring, and please forgive my slight feeling of imposter syndrome. My working life started in 1992 after I left Shuttleworth Agricultural College. My early working days were managed around playing rugby, a game that taught me a lot about building teams and the importance of making sure the right person was doing the right job. My blistering pace would be wasted in the front row of a scrum. I always wanted to do things differently, and kind of, I guess, had the entrepreneurial gene, although I hate being described as such. Whilst at school, I grew potatoes and onions and sold them to my family's pick your own customers. And at Shuttleworth, I established a travelling Pimm's bar that followed the cricket team from match to match. It was the only way that I could afford to keep drinking. I'd been taught that efficiency and productivity were the goals that every farming business should aspire to. But I could see too many flaws in commodity production and felt there had to be a better way of designing what I was trying to do, is build a resilient business. I also had a longing ambition that farmers should fulfill their true potential, not much in their own personal ability, but in the fact that I felt that land management could answer the multiple challenges that we were facing of food production, public access and enjoyment of the countryside, climate action and biodiversity collapse reversal. It was clear to me that if farms were managed appropriately, that farmers could answer these multiple clarion calls and benefit financially. At Shuttleworth, I was privileged to have been taught by the late Caroline Drummond, and through meeting her, we became one of the early leaf demonstration farmers. The opportunity to communicate the great work that farmers were doing, not just on our own farm, but more widely, was too good to miss. And we had almost 10 years with visits from groups as diverse as the global CEO of Walmart, local school kids, and our now king. And I can tell you that the global CEO of Walmart came with more security than the king did. I asked him why, and he said, "I'm the global CEO of Walmart. Everybody hates me." But for me, every one of those visits was a real learning opportunity. Throughout my career, we've developed farm shops, we've manufactured ready meals, we've started a restaurant, started a local food hub, started a butchery, started free-range production, stopped and restarted beef production, expanded the poultry, expanded the arable, contracted again, having experienced a significant period of growth-induced financial stress. I made my fair share of mistakes, and at times it felt like we were working out all the ways something shouldn't work rather than the way it should. There were times when mistakes were not responded to in time, and at times it took an enormous toll on the family. But now our business interests include a share of a local food business, where daily 24 vans cover the southeast of England, delivering to schools, hospitals, restaurants, hotels, and even royal palaces. And that business works because I stepped away from it. I was able to start that business. I was able to come up with the ideas, but I was bloody awful at running it day to day. So now that business has got its own completely and utterly focused management team. We have a wedding and event business that started as a farm shop and a restaurant, but now focuses on the delivery of the very best events. With over 250 weddings a year, this again has its own highly dedicated team. And again, the least I do, the better it does. And the more my wife does, the better it does. So our farming business has moved away from the efficient and productive paradigms that I was taught at college and is now redefining what those words mean. We have an agroforestry system which combines intensive mob grazing with paid research, honey production, timber production, carbon sales, and flower sales. And all of those combine to make a far more productive field than the previous monocrop of arable production. Most visiting arable farmers that come and see us take a look at it with utter dismay. What on earth have you done making that perfectly good square field and then cover it in trees? But then I describe how I define productivity. And there's a great paradox of productivity within agriculture and primary production in particular, in that the more efficient we become, the more productive we become, the lower our costs become, the less our big customers want to pay us. And I felt that lots of productivity gains that were being made the beneficiary was not the farmer. It was the consumer and the big retailer. So we now host a herd of Sussex cattle. We produce and sell eggs, pork, meat chickens, all raised on our own farm, fed on grain produced on our farm, some of which has been turned into beer and vodka on the farm. All of it is sold through our 24/7 vending machine farm shop or to the local hotels and restaurants, etc., and of course our own wedding business. The farm has a number of research projects. We're looking at we've got active projects looking at the use of production and use of black soldier fly larvae, converting food waste into larvae which then get fed to our chickens, which means we don't have to buy soya. And we're looking at the production and use of biochar. Both of those are funded by UK Research and Innovation. And what that's done, working with the University of Kent, has actually been a complete game changer for us, because we were out there talking about all of these wonderful things we were doing, and it was all rather anecdotal, as often it is within the regenerative agricultural sector. And they're helping us to add academic rigour to our work. In 2015, I was lucky enough to be awarded an Nuffield Scholarship. My topic started looking at free-range egg production, but very much changed to building financial resilience in farm business. It was the same time as the Paris climate talks, where there was an initiative called 4 per mil that was announced, where a bunch of French scientists worked out that if we could increase the entire world's soil organic matter by 0.4% per year, we can sequester all anthropological CO2 emissions. Now that has come under a lot of scrutiny, but for me it was a light bulb moment to say that it was an opportunity for land management to become the solution to climate change. And if we got it right, farmers should be able to remain in control. And so it's from that moment in 2015 when the idea of Regeneration Earth started to incubate. The business was initially established to act as a conduit between large corporations who have residual emissions they wish to offset, and those farmers and land managers who, through a series of different projects, can sequester that carbon into soils and biomass and a whole range of projects. But now that business not only does that, not only helps farmers transition to regenerative practices, but it also helps manage companies' net zero ambitions. So we're currently in the process of managing 3 large PLCs' journey to net zero, and we're even working with an entire island to manage their journey to net zero. But through that process, oh gosh, I'm running out of time, where does it go? Through that process, we realised that we needed really rapidly to have a robust system of project approval, measure, report, verify. And so myself and a group of small stakeholders, or small group stakeholders, designed what has become the UK Carbon Code. And that really has started to add rigour to what is currently perceived by many as cowboy territory. But what we do now is once a project is approved and certified, the carbon credits are tokenised, and we're working with tech partners who have managed to fractionalise those tokens, and we've got a really exciting new announcement coming out soon. I can tell you a little snippet where we're going to be offsetting the carbon footprint of each transaction through the world's largest payment transaction company, and there's over 1.2 billion per day. So my life has had many ups and downs. I'm nearly done, I promise. I've made mistakes. I allowed a failing farm business to be propped up by a highly successful business, placing incredible strain on all parties involved. What helped us pull through? It was diversity, quite simply. Diversity of income, diversity of skills, a diverse farm business. And most of all, diversity of people within those teams. Sorry. The most important lesson, really, was to understand, to me, is to understand one's limitations and only do what you're best at. I'm an ideas man. I can start a business, I can grow it, but keep me away from the day-to-day detail. And every now and again, tell me to sit down and shut up. Thank you.